Hi there, welcome. It's LaShanda Henry here, aka Sister Sense, and as always, I'm here to help you make sense of making money online. Today, our conversation revolves around your money and your mindset. My goal is actually to help you reset your mind so you can manifest more money into your life and also in your business. So, what we're going to do is actually, I'm going to walk you through 7 really essential areas of as far as internally and externally that you need to really take a look at if you're interested in, again, resetting your mindset so you can manifest more money. Now, the first of the 7 we're going to talk about today is desire. When it comes to money, you've got to really get clear about your personal desires around money. And, everybody has a love-hate relationship with money because at the end of the day, we know that we need money to survive, to sustain, to thrive. We need money for things that we not only need but want, right? So desire is about want. But then there's the other side of the money conversation where people are like, money's the root of all evil. People do bad things with money. And, from spirituality purposes, if you are a spiritual person, you don't do things for money. You just do things to give and be giving, right? So we all have these positive and negative, high vibrational and low vibrational conversations around money that we need to talk about in order to reset the money mindset. So the first part of this, again, for me, is desire. We're going to talk about that in a second and then dive into all 7 of these conversations today. Okay. Now, when I ask you the question, what do you desire as far as money is concerned? I want you to go beyond simply saying, well, I need money. At the end of the day, the first thing that you need to do is get very specific about how much you need. I believe that you look for what you are trying to find, and you will find what you are trying to look for. So what does that mean? When I said, I need to make money right now, I want to make money, I made money and I was still frustrated. Why? Because I didn't define how much money I wanted to make. If you make $1 today and you said you needed to make money, you made $1 today. So technically you made money. Are you happy with that $1? Maybe you're grateful for the fact that you made a $1, but maybe you want more than that. So you're going to have to get specific when it comes to your desires as far as how much money do you actually want to make. I do have a system, it's called money markers. And in the money marker system, I talk about 3 kinds of money. I say essentially, number 1, you want to think about for yourself the base, which is the very minimum that you need. And then I said you want to think about the reach, which is in a perfect world, how much you really, really, really honestly want, right? And then in the middle, the median is kind of like some middle number that you come up with that's between your base goal and your reach goal. Right? So when I talk about your desire, really it's the reach, the thing that you really, really, if everything went right, that's how much you really want. Then the base is how much you can, at the very minimum, survive on with your middle ground in there as well. Setting clear money marker goals, being very specific and intentional about how much money you want is important because, they talk about the law of attraction. I truly believe that whatever the mind, as Napoleon Hart once said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So if you believe that you are going to and you desire to make money, you'll make money. It's just a matter of how much you'll make, which means that you have to get specific around that. And I'm going to talk about specific in different ways in this conversation, but this is the first place that it starts. Okay. Now, don't self-censor yourself. And this is something that's going to come up across our conversation for today. If you say to yourself, ooh, I want this, but ooh, you're hesitant in saying it, in speaking it, or even writing it down, you're self-censoring yourself for one reason or another. Ooh, I don't want to say that much. Ooh, girl, I don't want to limit myself. Or ooh, girl, I don't want to put that out there. And then Whether the number feels too high or too low, why are you self-censoring yourself? Identify whatever feelings are triggering you to make you feel resistant to either speak out or talk out or write down a specific number. Okay, because those things that are subconsciously happening to you, you have to be aware of. It's not just about money mindset internal, but it's about external too. The things that you do to generate the kind of revenue you want to generate. And sometimes before you even can get to doing, to acting, you subconsciously find yourself self-sabotaging yourself. And the beginning stages of that self-sabotage starts with self-censoring. When you are hesitant to say or ask for a certain amount because you're afraid. Identify what the numbers are that you really, really want. Don't self-censor yourself. When you do find yourself in that space, what are you afraid of? Okay. We're going to continue this conversation around desire, because for me, desire is very deep, very multifaceted. When we think about the id, the ego, the super ego, children, they operate on the gimme, gimme, gimme. If you don't give it to me, I'm gonna cry. Right? They're very emotional. What they want it when they want it. They're kids. They're selfish. They don't understand some of these things, some of these social nuances to holding yourself back and not really succumbing all to your desire. As we get older, we get into social norms. We go through experiences that trigger us, fears, all of these different things that cause us to say, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be asking for that. In this space right now, all bars are off. There's no self-censoring. Go into your inner child, that gimme, gimme, gimme. What do you, not selflessly, I should say not selfishly, but selfly, self-lovingly, what do you want for yourself? What do you want for yourself? Go back to that inner child. What do you want? What do you desire as far as money is concerned, right? That was the first thing. Define it, speak it, write it down. Don't censor. If you are, where are you censoring yourself, right? Ask for what you want. Ask the universe, ask your higher power, ask yourself, ask your customers and clients, ask for what you want. This is important. At the end of the day, one of my signature Sister Sense sayings is get your ask, A-S-K, in gear. And if you desire a certain amount of money, you need to be specific about what that amount is and start asking for it, putting that out into the universe and asking it of yourself. I'm going to talk about that in more detail today. But before we get into those conversations, I'm going to share an anecdotal story with you. One of my favorite shows is One Day at a Time, the new version on Netflix with a Spanish family, and I absolutely love it. I used to love watching the replays of One Day at a Time as a kid, but I love the remake. One episode in particular I'm going to share with you. The main character, she's a nurse, and there was an episode in particular where she was really frustrated because she felt in her workplace she had great ideas, but everybody was listening to the men, one particular male in particular, specifically, they were listening to him and they weren't listening to her. Like, she would say it, everybody would ignore it. He would say it, and it was like, oh my God, great idea. And she felt like her voice wasn't being heard, so she got into a space where she got angry and started to talk up for herself. In that episode, she found out that particular male nurse actually was making more money, and then she got even more frustrated with the situation. The most powerful statement out of that frustrating conversation that she had with her boss was the most eye-opening statement for her, and I want to share that statement with you. When she said to him, I do so much more, I know more. How is it even possible that he's making more money than me? What happened here? Her boss's response was multifaceted. But one of the things he said to her was, to be honest with you, when he came in, he asked for this amount. When you came in, you didn't ask. Get your ask in gear. So he knew what he wanted. He asked for it and he got it. She took what she could get. How much do you really desire? There are a lot of times when, even though we know more, we do more, and it really should show in our actions how much more valuable we are than other people in similar positions. Somehow we end up getting less. And sometimes it's because we don't have conversations with ourselves about how much we really desire. And we don't say, hey, listen, this is how much I want for this. Right? You're not asking for what you want. And in that case, that was a great example of it. She was all fire and fury and da 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 da. But when he said that, she had to check herself and be honest with herself. She took just what she could get, and never occurred to her to ask for what she desired. It was like, wait, I could have done that? Yeah. He knew to do that. He knew to say, listen, this is what my worth is, and I want this amount for my services. She didn't ask. So having this conversation about what you desire is so much more than just you kind of putting on paper what you want. It goes beyond the general statement of, oh, I want money, or the general statement of, oh, I want to be a 6-figure entrepreneur, or I want to be a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur. It's how much do you really want, specific number, not general numbers. And it's not censoring yourself along with asking for what you want. Last thing that I'm going to say about desire before I move on to the next topic with respect to setting a money mindset for yourself is visualization. You need to be in a space where you can visualize for yourself how much you want and work towards that. Okay. So for example, I'll give you an example of a day where I said, you know what? I want to bring in $1,000 today. And I said, okay, well, what are you going to do to bring in $1,000? I said, okay, well, I know that I have my base web package at $650. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to offer that base package of $650 for $450 and see what happens. I reached out to a few clients that I had previously worked with. And within the hour, not only did I make the $1,000, I actually made close to $1,500 because 3 people opted in. No, actually, no, forgive me, not 3, 2 people. One person opted in and she bought 2 of the $450 packages, one for her and then one for her mother. And then another person opted in for that $450 package. So my goal was $1,000 and I made a little under $1,500. You've got to visualize what you want and you've got to work towards it. If you want to change your money mindset, it's not, well, I wish I can bring in money right now. What am I going to do? For me, one of my favorite quotes is, a goal is a wish with a deadline, right? So I set a goal for myself. Today, I'm going to make $1,000 and the deadline is today. And I'm going to sell this $450 package and see how many of them I could sell. And at that time period, within an hour, I sold 3 of them to generate under $1,500. My goal was $1,000. So I reached my goal and a little bit more. Right? So you've got to be able to visualize for yourself what you want, create a goal and work towards that. One of my favorite videos is of an interview with Jim Carrey and Oprah. And I think it's something to the effect of, Jim Carrey's $1 million check. You can YouTube it or Google it and it'll come up. And essentially it was a conversation around when he was the brokest of broke actors and he wasn't making any money and he was like, you're dead broke. You, as comedians tend to be when they're on the come up. And he visualized for himself being in a space where he was getting paid. And he wrote a check for himself of $1 million for acting services rendered. And a few years later, after hard work and dedication and diligence, I think he received a call, as the story goes. And the call was, you just made, I believe he made like $10 million, some crazy amount of money. You just made that on the Dumb and Dumber movie. And it was like, wow, I wrote this check for myself. And here now I am, to the date, actually getting that check. Because the visualization works. So you've got to be in a space where you visualize how much you desire and then work towards that. You can't just wish for it and say, okay, I'm going to write myself a check for $1 million and hopefully it comes through. You've got to be patient, present, and persistent, which is one of the things that I talk about. Patiently keep being persistent at what you do, putting yourself out there, being present, and working towards those revenue goals. That is the power of visualization. That's the power of patient, present, persistent. So the first thing I said to you was really check yourself with respect to your desires around money and being honest with how much you want without self-censoring, being honest with other people and asking for what you believe you deserve, whether it be in a career or as an entrepreneur or a service professional or freelancer, whatever the case may be. Get real, get honest, get connected to your desires. That's number one. Number two, now we are going to dive into this conversation around value. Now, as a woman entrepreneur of color, we've got a lot going on when it comes to value. Some of us devalue ourselves as women. Some of us devalue ourselves because the world devalues women versus men, or women of color. We've got so many value issues that when you tack on your gender and your race and or your socioeconomic background, you coming from a place where maybe in your neighborhood people didn't make that kind of money, all of those things come into and become a part of who you are when it comes to your value, your worth. So there are two types of conversations that I want you to think about today when it comes to money and your value. Number one, think about the stuff that you're trying to sell, whether it be products or services, and the price points you put on them. Are you putting those price points because that's how much they actually should be valued at, or because that's how much you believe you deserve? That's how much you believe you deserve, or that's how much you should be charging for that particular product or service. And it's so interesting because as I'm actually talking to you about having a money mindset and creating a space for yourself to generate money, I'm actually seeing alerts of people paying for products and services and paying me and having money come into my bank account. So I'm sharing these things with you, not because they are things that I think are cool or because I watch some YouTube with Jim Carrey and, Oprah. I'm sharing these with you because I fundamentally believe when I changed my mindset, when I reset my mind around these money aspects, these 7 things that I'm sharing with you, they allowed me to open up my world to more revenue. And that is a powerful thing. Literally, as I'm creating this audio conversation to share with you, I see money coming into my account. And that just speaks to the power of creating a space where you are opening yourself up to revenue and manifesting more money in your life and in your business. So I said to you, I want you to think about for yourself how much you believe you are worth. And when you price your products and services, look at those prices. As a matter of fact, just take 3. Think about 3 things that you sell, how much you charge. And are you charging that because maybe you feel like based on your industry, that's what it's worth? Or are you charging that because you feel like that's what you deserve? At the very beginning of my journey as a web designer, I used to charge like $100 for web services. And I'm going to talk about different things that went into that. One of those things being fair. And I ultimately thought, well, it's not hard for me to do this. So $100, that's what I deserve, because it's not hard for me to do that. You ever thought that to yourself? This is something that I can do with my eyes closed, so I shouldn't really charge more for it. It would be me like just cheating or me stealing. You feel like you're stealing money. You're doing the work and you're giving them value, but you feel like you're stealing money because it's something that you can do easily or naturally. There are some things that we need to reset and reprogram with respect to our gifts and our values, because here's the deal. Out in the real world, people pay more for value, not less. Right? And sometimes we get it backwards. We're thinking because we're so gifted at this thing and so easy, we should be charging less for it. But because you're so good at this thing, you should be charging more. It took me several years to go from charging $100 to build a website to charging $1,000 to do the same thing. I had to learn how to reset my mindset around my money values and what I thought I deserved based on my gifts and my skill sets, and also industry standards. I charge significantly less than most, and even still at my price point rates, I charge less than most, because it's something that I've worked on and I've learned how to get better at over time. Right? So look at your conversations around your value proposition with respect to money in side one, right? Is how much are you charging, and are you tying up your rates? Are you tying your rates up into your personal value proposition of how much you believe you're worth? And the other side of it is listening to an internal voice in you that says to you, they're not going to pay for that. They're not going to spend X amount. That's another side of that. Side B. You look at your remember records, your side A, side B. Side B, when it comes to value, is, well, I'm not going to charge that because they're not going to pay for it. Who told you that? Is it just the voice in your head that told you that? Is it one person that you keep saying everybody says they're not going to pay for it, and everybody is literally one person, right? Where is that voice coming from? How is that affecting your value proposition? Because sometimes that voice is a distraction. It's not truth. It's a distraction. It's deterring you from generating the kind of money you want, because you're listening to this distracting voice that keeps talking you out of doing what you need to do, which is charging your worth, right? So, there are instances where you say, they're not going to afford that. They're not going to buy that, right? And we're going to continue to have this kind of conversation throughout our conversation today. I am truly in a space where I learned the hard way that's not true. I've worked with clients who are on welfare, on Section 8, who have 3 nickels to rub together. And I'll be like, oh, I remember one client in particular. I was like, okay, I'm going to charge her like, a couple of $100 because she's on public assistance. She's got like 5 kids. She can't afford this. And she was like, LaShanda, whatever you need to charge me. Because number one, though I'm not condoning this, but between her whatever funds she got from her assistants and whatever funds she got from when she went to school. And some people know how to use that money from their financial aid money, and they do other things. They make it work, right? She's like, listen, I got you. So I'm sitting here studying her pocket thinking, well, she can't afford X, Y, Z. And she's like, that has nothing to do with this. I want you to work on this. Whatever it costs, let me know. Now, me being me, I was like, look, no, I still can't. So, I gave her like a ridiculously reduced rate for that that product. I was building a website for her. But the truth of the reality of the situation is sometimes you're putting value on based on what you think people can afford, and what they want is what they want. And even the people who don't have the money will find the money to get what they want, which means stay in your lane. Be focused on you presenting prices based on what you desire and what you deserve versus you presenting prices based on what you think they can afford. Because again, even the person who doesn't have the money will find the money if it's something they really want, right? And that's something that you need to think about when it comes to resetting your mindset. And I'm going to talk about money and working with people who they want it, but they can't afford it. I'll give you some different ideas or concepts throughout this conversation that may be helpful to you. But for me, one of the things that I did when it came to value was I provided my clients with options. Right? So I'm like, listen, well, if you want me to build one page, then here's a one page you can get from me for like $200. If you want me to do 5 pages, $650, 5 pages plus the store, $995. I'm giving them different options at different price points, as opposed to me doing what I used to do, which is like, here, I'm going to do everything for you at a reduced rate value, right? Because I'm studying how much I think they can pay. No, now I give them options. You figure out the option that works for you based on what you want, right? And that is true value. I'm going to give you an example of that. I was working with a client one day, and he said to me, okay, well, this is what I want. Can you give me a discount, right? And I said, okay, well, everything that you want is $3,000. And If you want a discount, here's what I can do for 1,500, and here's what I can do for 1,000. And guess what? He took the $3,000 package. Why? Because he wanted it all. He just wanted to see how he could get it all for the least amount. And I wasn't about to give him all for the least amount. I said, if you want less, you can pay less and get less for 1,000. And even though the $1,000 package was reasonable, he really wanted everything and he could really afford everything. People are sometimes going to try to pressure or bully you into changing your value to suit their pocket. And I flipped the tables on him and said, listen, then if the issue is you not being able to afford the $3,000, then take the $1,000 package, because it still has a lot of value and you can get what you need. And he said, you know what? Actually, I do want that bigger package. I'm going to take that one. Okay, then you should have took it from the beginning. Right? But they're just so all of these, I can tell you a lot about the psychology of sales and selling high price point products. We can have those conversations, but this conversation again is about resetting your money mindset, and beyond number one, you taking a good look at your desires when it comes to how much you really want and what you desire from the kind of money you want to manifest into your life. The other conversation is the value conversation about how much you feel like you deserve. Right? How much you feel like you ultimately deserve, and the kind of value you put on yourself, your products, and your services. Take an opportunity to reflect on that and to think about that, because it's an important part of the conversation. So number one was desire. Number two was value. Number three, survival. Sometimes I know this because I've been in spaces where I found myself begging for business or praying for profit because I was in survival mode. Right? When you are in a space where your fundamental needs are not taken care of, your necessities, when either you don't have a roof over your head or you feel like you're like one paycheck away from losing that apartment or losing that house or being able to get the things that you need to pay your bills and take care of your babies, you are in survival mode. And sometimes it's hard for you to have the right kind of money mindset when you are in a space where you're trying to figure out how to survive and sustain. So I want to talk to you about the difference between being in a space where you survive versus thrive. And I want to talk about that on multiple levels. The first level being when you're in survival mode, you tend to charge based on being desperate for sales. So in that space, when I was in survival mode, I was willing to do, a lot of work for $100 because I needed $100, right? You'll do what you need to do to bring the money in, right? But being in that space in survival mode, I found myself in a space where I would tell myself things like, I just need enough to be comfortable. I just need enough just to get by. And literally, I don't know what it is in the energy right now. I just saw another ping of somebody purchasing something from me. And I guess because I'm having this money mindset conversation with you, I feel like a money magnet and just revenue is just coming in, ping, ping, ping. But I share this with you. I'm telling you this. Not because I just find it interesting that as I'm talking to you about money magnet and money mindsets, money's actually coming into my account. Because I want you to get that energy. I want you to get that energy of the more you create a space to bring money into your life, the more you will create a space where money comes into your life and flows consistently and abundantly. When you think about money mantras, you want to say to yourself, I am in a space where my money is abundant, my money is thriving, my money is growing, my money flows. Find these money mantras to pour into you so that you can create a space to generate the kind of revenue and money you want to come in. That's a side note that has nothing to do with this point right here. Or maybe, but not quite to do with this point right here about survival. Well, I guess so. It's related to survival mode, but I kind of felt myself on a tangent because I saw those pings coming in and I wanted to share that message with you. But I also want to give some of that flow money energy that comes to me. I want to be able to kind of pour some of that into you if I can. If you believe in energy like I do, I believe that positivity that's flowing through me, hopefully I can have some of that touch on and flow into you as well, right? Now, let's go back into this space of survive versus thrive. One of the things I used to tell myself when I was in survival mode is I just need enough to be comfortable, right? I just need enough to be comfortable. And I realized the more that I said that, I was blocking my blessing. I was blocking my abundance because I kept telling myself I just need enough to be comfortable. Everything was low price point. Everything was $10 here and $100 there. And everything was I need to scrape up to get by. Right? When you are in survival mode, you find yourself just doing what you need to get the bare minimum taken care of. And I realized I had to get out of survival mode because at that point, good enough was not good enough. I didn't want to feel like I was begging for business or I was dependent upon the $3 little that came in today. And if they didn't come in today, there was no way I was going to be able to make up enough money to do this or that. But that's what happens when you find yourself telling yourself that good enough is good enough. That's one money mantra you certainly do not want to repeat. So if you're telling yourself that I just need enough to get by or just to be comfortable or just to survive, you've got to change those conversations because those conversations are blocking your money subconsciously and actually. They are affecting the things that you do to bring in abundance. And when you price or put out that you just need this bare minimum, you're just going to get that bare minimum. You're never going to go above that because you're not asking for that. Remember, I talked about desire and what you really want. You've got to put those big numbers out there, right? So that you can get everything in between. The big numbers, the small numbers, the middle numbers, everything in between. But when you find yourself only speaking from a place of scarcity and lack and survival, you limit the conversations you have, the kind of money you ask for, the kind of things that you put out into the universe because you are in that space of survival. Okay, so what does that look like for you? Remember I said to you, I want you to think about your money markers, the amount of money you need to make, the amount of money you want to make, and then that middle ground, right? That's so important. So hopefully you know how much money you need to bring in to sustain yourself and to sustain your family. Right? I believe in knowing that number. And then I believe in doubling that number, if not tripling that number, to look at that and say, that's how much I really want. Because you don't want just how much you need. You want abundance. I had to learn that the hard way. I remember when I started working online, and again, I was very much in survival mode. If I could bring in at the very least, $2,000, $2,500. I was like, yes, I could pay my rent. I could buy some food. I could, put some gas in the car. And I said, no, LaShanda, we've got to change that. I worked my way up from thinking about, okay, I need $2,500 a month to I need $3,000 a month. I need $5,000 a month. I need $6,000 a month. $6,000 is now my base. I work towards getting at the very minimum $6,000 a month, and I work towards my reach, which is $15,000 in the month. That's what I'm working towards right now. Maybe yours is more or less, depending upon if you've got a 9-to-5 and maybe you're making six figures, or your hubby's making money. The point being, what you're making and what you need may be very different from me, but I'm very specific about how much I need, my base and my reach. And even though at the very minimum, I found myself in those beginning years saying, if I could just make $2,000, $2,500, a little over $3,000, that was just good enough. I'm not in that space, that headspace anymore, because I know the truth, and good enough is not good enough. You need to be in a space where you can set yourself up for success, where you can put money aside for a rainy day, where you can support and help people you need to when you need to, but you can't do that when the only kind of money you're bringing in is survival money. And you can't build on building a abundance or a business that is lucrative if you are always only thinking about just enough. Okay, so I want you to check yourself about survive versus thrive and the kind of conversations you have with yourself internally as far as how much money you want to bring in. Right? Because the survive versus thrive conversation is a really, really, really powerful one to have. Now, with that being said, one of the things that I do when it comes to my money mindset is making sure that I'm never in survival mode. And sometimes it comes on unexpected. You can't anticipate if you've got like a major emergency or something happens and your business slows down. Understand that life gets real. Sometimes the struggle gets real. I hear that, but I also create for myself a space where I figure out how to create cushions and how to bring in revenue that comes in on a monthly basis, because those things help me be in a space of thriving versus surviving. So for me, things like continuity programs, cushions, savings, emergency funds, retainer clients who work with me, not just one off, but consistently every single month. Those are things that help me to create a thriving business versus one that is in survival mode. I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to, for example, my series called How to Set Yourself Up for Success. It's an audio series very similar to this one, and it's inside of my success kit. One of the things I talk about in setting yourself up for success is doing the things that allow you to bring in revenue even when you're not working. I found myself in a space where I was simultaneously resting and rocking the web when I found that I was really feeling sick and in a space where I had to slow down and I couldn't do as much work as I wanted to. But in that resting space, I was still making money and people were still buying my stuff because I essentially did what I needed to do to create a thriving business. Okay. So this is important. I want you to really reflect on and think about survive versus thrive. Are your mindset thoughts or your actions reflective of somebody who's just trying to bring in enough because good enough is just good enough when in reality it's not? And you're looking to transition from surviving to thriving. Okay, so that is number 3. Number 4, we want to think about work ethic, which I think work ethic, it goes into all of these when it comes to your desire, your value, what you're willing to do, how much you think you deserve, whether you're working out of a place of just getting enough to get by or you're trying to bring in abundance. Your work ethic is a part of that. And we as women, we work a lot. As mothers, we feel like we need to do a whole lot to be motherish, and do a whole lot for a whole little, because that's kind of what we do as a gender. And then you think about as Black women, as women of color, being in spaces where either you were socioeconomically deprived and you came up with parents who struggled, or parents who, they came off the boat from the Caribbean, from the islands, and they did a whole lot to get very little. That space of working hard and having to work hard in order to earn even the bare minimal, it's kind of embedded into you. I know it's embedded into me. So sometimes it feels almost unnatural to get easy money because you feel like you're programmed to work really hard for it. Even going back to just thinking about Black people in slavery, that's a conversation that, that's come up, when we talk about women and being in a slave mindset where you feel like you've got to literally work like a slave or a dog just to get the bare minimum. Working hard does not have to be the only way you generate money. I had to reset that mindset and create a space where I really, 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 and truly, genuinely believed that I could work smarter without working harder. Now, we say that all the time, work smarter, like harder, but a lot of us have not really accepted that and really, really committed to that statement. A lot of us had not, because we don't genuinely believe that we deserve to bring in money unless we're doing a whole lot of work to bring in money. There are people who make stupid easy money. They don't even do anything. It's kind of like, I think about The Simpsons and think about Homer. Like, Homer's job is pushing a button. That's as hard as it gets for Homer, right? I mean, the factory pretty much runs itself. But a lot of people, they don't even think it's possible to make easy money because they've already been so programmed to believe that they have to work really hard to make it happen. Let me give you a few examples of things that I do right now, to me, that I think are relatively easy and bring in money that to me and to a lot of people that I know are unheard of. Like, literally, number one, half the time I'm in my pajamas and I'm literally making money from my phone, doing recordings, or, making money because I'm on the phone talking to somebody. And either I'm making recordings that I sell as digital products, right? Or literally, I'm talking to somebody and they're paying me $100 to answer their questions, right? I mean, I'm in my house. I'm working on the phone. I've got my Wi-Fi. When I want to, I can take a break. I can take a nap. I can go outside. That flexibility and freedom, that ease, that's for me working smarter and not harder. I wouldn't have thought or even imagined I could do that before. I wouldn't have thought or even imagined that, right? I think last week I got an affiliate check for $150 and I was like, oh, I never know, because I never know when I make affiliate money. Sometimes it comes in, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait, I just got $150. That's easy money just from me recommending, hey, this is a tool that I use, go use it. And then getting a commission check for $150. Come on. That's to me like, what? Right? These are things that I do. Like even me saying to you, I create digital products and I'm literally just creating this audio for you, right? On my phone. I'm recording this audio for you today on my phone, the Money Mindset series. And as I'm talking to you, I see that people are buying my digital products from my store on my website. How crazy is that, right? To me, that's easy money. That's stuff that I created. I don't have to create it again unless I want to update it or do something cool with it. But it's there and people see it when they want it. They go buy it. I have, I think it was last week, I shipped out my Pro Webinars CDs. I had a young lady purchase my Get Paid to Teach kit. I did the Pro Webinars training like 3 years ago, and it's still selling, and people are still buying from me. I mean, it doesn't necessarily sell every day, but it still sells. The point being that I have digital products that I created, whether it be today or last week or last year or 3 years ago, and they're still bringing in revenue for me. That for me is ultimately generating easy money, right? Versus when I have to sit down and when I have to spend 10 hours or 20 hours or more working on a website for somebody. That's me actually doing the work, right? Or having to do an event and I'm planning it and I'm literally like all hands on deck. When I do my live workshops here in North Carolina, I'm the person who's, with my hubby because he helps me. I'm doing my video, I'm setting up my tables, I'm putting out the worksheets, I'm recording the content, I'm working with the caterers and putting out the food, I'm cleaning up, all that stuff, right? That's me working hard, in addition to just loving the workshops that I do when I have my workshops. It's a lot of physical work that I do to set up and maintain that, because I usually do workshops for like 2 to 3 days, right? That's me working hard. But I had to get into a space where I got comfortable with working easy and generating revenue without blinking or having to change my pajamas or get out of my my workspace or get out of my office, because there are ways for you to do that, and you have to be able to embrace those experiences. You have to be able to embrace those experiences if you want to be in a space where you actually experience them, right? And that's an important statement, because sometimes it may sound like it's a cool thing, but you haven't honestly embraced that it's something you could actually really do. Right? So think about that statement, working smarter, not harder. What are some things that you're doing and you're working really hard? And being honest with yourself about, you working really hard because you believe that's as much of the work you've got to do to get people to pay you, right? A great example of that, I oftentimes work with clients and we'll have conversations about content. And more often than not, they create content like me, but they work really hard at it. Literally, they'll have, in order for me to sell this, I'm doing it with them live and I'm giving it to them live. And it could be like 50 people or 5 people. The fact that they always feel like they have to be live, whether it's creating digital content live or speaking live or making moves, and I've got to be in front of them. And if I'm not in front of them, they're not buying. And I'm like, okay, you did a few things live. Can you sell the recording? Can you automate it? And you don't know how much resistance I get. I share this all the time because I get it from people all the time. And usually it's with people who have this mindset of, if I'm not on, they're not going to buy. If I don't physically put myself in a space where I'm standing or talking or speaking or on route to another thing, they're not going to buy. And when I say, okay, well, sell the replay. Well, no, they're not going to buy it because they need to see me live. And I'm like, they don't always need to see you live. Well, the replays, now I have this one person I was talking to, and she said, well, the replays have commentary and I'm talking, but then people who were in the live, they're talking too. And I'm like, and that's what a replay is. You tell them it's a replay, they know what to expect because they know what a replay is. And she's like, oh, well, okay, just, and this is a person who makes crazy money. And I was like, yo, you could be making even more money by, in addition to the live stuff that you do, selling your replays. But a lot of times we are in this space where we're like, if we're physically not working, the thought of selling stuff that we've already created, we don't do, either because we're thinking we've got to make it more polished or professional or redo it or whatever mindset that blocks you from making the most of that content. And I'm here to tell you, listen, I sell stuff that I created like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's good content. It was good then and it's good now, because all you need to do is to sell them the thing that you know that they don't. That's it. You just need to know more than the person buying your stuff, whether you created it today or a few years ago. They want it because you've got something that they need. Okay, so embracing this concept of working smarter and not harder. It sounds simple. It's easy for a lot of us to say, but honestly, not a lot of people embrace it the way that they should. So your work ethic, number 4, is really, 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 really important. Okay, so important thing that I want you to reflect on. Number 5 here is fear. Fear. Fear is an interesting word, and it's actually one of the acronyms. It's an acronym that, you can take to heart. There are 2 ways to look at fear. FEAR, forget everything and run, right? FEAR, forget everything and run. And then fear, FEAR, face everything and rise. When it comes to your money mindset and the things that you need to do to get the kind of money that you want, there are times when you're going to be so afraid that you're like, forget it. I'm just going to run. Forget this. I'm out of here. But there've got to be times when you face the fear, right? Face everything, so that in doing that, you can rise. You can rise to the occasion, you can meet the challenge, and you can power through to the kind of you want to be, to generate the kind of money you want to generate, to live the kind of life you want to live. Fear is a powerful thing. So when it comes to your money mindset and resetting it in certain ways, right now I want us to think about those things that when you talk about money, what are some of the things that make you feel afraid? And I have a lot of conversations with clients. Sometimes clients will have clarity calls with me and they'll jump on and they're like, LaShanda, I have all these great ideas and I want you to help me kind of figure out what to do. And then there are times when, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, clients call me and they say, I am freaking out. I am freaking out. I have a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of fear, and I need you to talk me off or off the shelf, down the roof, however they say it, talk me off the ledge, because I'm seriously afraid. So I want us to identify different types of fears that people have, that maybe you have around money, that are blocking your ability to manifest the kind of money you want in your life. Money fear number 1, success. It's success. It sounds crazy to want to be successful and simultaneously be afraid of success, but it is true. For a lot of people, the idea of being too successful is overwhelming, is scary, is intimidating, because it's a space that's unknown. And what do I do when I get there? How do I operate in that space? So, for example, being in places you're not used to. I'm a Brooklyn girl from, the hood, growing up in the heart of Brooklyn, Crown Heights, being in a space where I am with maybe people who don't look like me, in a space full of rich white men, for example, just to kind of real talk, be clear about it. I had to learn how to get comfortable in those spaces, tongue-tied. I had to learn how to get comfortable in those places. Right, where not everybody looked like me or talked like me or, was a woman like me or a black person like me. When you elevate your success, you elevate your circles, and that's scary. right? What aspects of you being successful scare to some degree? Some people, they don't want more money or they don't want higher promotional positions because with those positions, they're going to find themselves out of their comfort zone in unfamiliar places. So be honest with yourself. If the conversation as far as money mindset reset for you is the reality that maybe you want to be there, but you're not ready to be there because you're scared about all the things that success will bring. I get it. I know what it's like, but you've got to be able to work through it. And the first thing that you can do to overcome a fear is to identify where the fear is coming from. You want to overcome the fear, identify where the fear is coming from. That's the first step. So what we're doing right now is we're basically walking through some things that might scare you with respect to money. And one of those things is success. What about success potentially scares you? Number one. Number two, returns. Refunds and returns. Scary stuff. I know that for me, one of the reasons why I was resistant to charging a lot of money was because I was like, okay, I've got to charge. If I charge X amount, what if I charge this and they don't want it? What if I charge this and they're like, okay, I don't like this. Give me back my money, right? What if they give me, this X amount of money and then I don't give them what they want and they want their money back, right? Sometimes we are resistant to charging more because we are afraid of what if they don't like what they got? What if I have to refund the money or return the money? If that's an anxiety for you, then fix the problem. Find a solution. Deal with the elephant in the room as opposed to hiding it or ignoring it, okay? You can't put a lampshade over the elephant. It's still there, right? So I did that. For me, I said, okay, well, if I'm going to charge for something, I'm going to get clear about what that looks like, right? So, if I'm going to charge you for web services and it's $1,000 and you say, okay, I want my $1,000 back. Okay, well, here's how it works. If I've done nothing, I've done no work yet, we've not started yet, I'll give you back your money, full refund, no problem. If I've started the work, however, I don't give back refunds. I'll find a way. Let's say, I've done the work and I've maybe done 25% of the work. Then maybe you'll get a 75% credit to do something else when you're ready. So what I did, you can keep. And then when you're ready, you can take that credit and I'll do something else for you. Right? Returns, refunds, figuring out what policies you're going to put in place and making those policies clear to people up front can alleviate some of the anxiety of the unknown because you know what's going to happen because you've set and defined this is what's going to happen. Right? Okay, so I gave you something and maybe I shipped it to you and you're like, okay, this was great. Can I get a refund? Okay, I shipped out the product. No, there are no refunds. Or, okay, well, if you return the product to me and you cover the shipping, here's the refund. Create the policies that's going to help you reduce the anxiety. Right? I was actually having a conversation with a client who was transitioning into a space where she started to ship stuff online. And she was like, I'm really, really nervous, LaShanda. And I just kind of was like, I need to get this thing to this lady because I need to deliver. That's one of the anxieties, right? I need to deliver these things. And I'm like, okay, well, putting your policies in place beforehand alleviates that. Because she was like, I need to send it to her ASAP. When I put together my shipping things, I'll say, okay, well, it may take 4 to 5 days for this thing to be put together. It may take another 5 days or 5 business days specifically for me to ship it. So giving people time frames is important. For me, delivering, I love automation. So I use platforms that if it's a digital product, the delivery is instant. So I'm not like, oh, okay, they paid for me and it's been a week and I have to give them that thing. More often than not, you'll see the stuff that I sell. As soon as you pay for it, if it's a digital product, you get instant access to download the thing that you paid for. That helps me to reduce any anxiety, not just on my part, but on the part of the customer, right? So this is something that you're going to get instantly. Or my web services. A lot of times people will say, okay, well, I'm giving you $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000. how long is this going to take? How are you going to deliver? And I'll say, okay, well, this is what happens in 2 weeks. If you do a payment plan, this is what's going to happen in 4 weeks or 12 weeks, depending upon how much you pay. Here's the time frame. When you're really clear about your policies, what you can deliver, when you can deliver it by, some of these fears will start to melt away. Okay, so today I want you to be able to sit down and sit with some of the fears you have around making money, making a certain type of money, being able to deliver a certain type of quality. What are you going to do if they ask for refunds or returns from you? These are hard conversations. I get it, but I also understand that once you get into a space where you conquer the fear, you don't forget it and run, but you face everything and rise. When you conquer those fears, that's going to help you not just reset your mindset as far as money, but then start to open up yourself to the opportunities that you want as far as bringing more money in. Okay, so fear conversation, so important. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is joy, because we can't talk about fear without joy. And money is an interesting thing because while, when you have money, it can give you a sense of joy and peace and everything that comes with it, freedom, purpose. It also can create anxiety and fear and frustration or depression or desperation, right? When you don't have it. So I want to be able to create a balanced conversation, and beyond us talking about fear of money and what it brings, I want to talk about joy and embracing the kind of joy that you have when it comes to money. Not just that you have, but that you can have the potential joy too. Okay. Now let's talk about a few things when it comes to joy, because raise your hand if you feel like you're in a space where money isn't joyful for you, meaning that you get money and you use it, but your money just comes in, you make it just to pay the bills, or literally before you get it, it's gone. So you feel like you're just working to pay bills, do what you need to do, and the money isn't bringing in any joy for you. Can you relate to that? Now, if that's the case, we want to talk about some things that you can do to bring in joy into your life with money. Number one, with the money that you're currently bringing in. And then number two, with the money that you could potentially bring in. Because I believe that you need to really make the most of what you have. But on the same token, you need to be in a space where you can visualize the kind of money you want so that you can prepare for that joy as well. Okay? So let me talk about that from the first space of making the most of what you have. I believe that at the end of the day, the bills are always going to be there. So while I'm very strategic about paying my bills and paying them on time, because that's very important to me, I always prioritize also me. Doing what I need to do to get the things that I need for me. So I'm going to give you a few little things of as far as joy when I think about money and how I'm able to create joy in my life with money. And I want you to think about how you can do these same things too. So number one, just self-love. Is so important. One of my favorite acronyms, FLY, is first love yourself. And I work really hard in my business. And so one of the things I like to do is some Sundays, not every Sunday, some Sundays I'll have this kind of like mommy day. I'll run my errands, I'll go shopping, buy stuff, groceries for the family, window shop. And I always, in those days, will take myself out to one of my favorite spots, which is Noodle and Company. It's a little restaurant, it's a franchise, but I can sit down, I can get one of my favorite noodle dishes, my salad, my phone, kind of dive into something I want to watch or listen to, and I'll sit there and I'll eat my noodles and I'll be completely happy for like under $20, right? So one of the things that you need to do is to bring the joy into your life as far as you doing something that you feel good. You like, I do this with my money and it's not a big thing, but it makes me feel good. And it's something that I do just for me, right? It's just for me, not a guilty pleasure, not something I'm ashamed about or want to hide. It's for me. And I self-lovingly enjoy that. One of my first gifts to myself when we moved into the house was my swing. I always said, I talk about visualization. I visualized myself. I didn't know where I was going to live, what it was going to look like, but I visualized myself sitting on my porch sipping sweet tea, swinging on a swing. So I made sure that one of the first things I bought was a swing for the porch. And a lot of times you'll watch me do videos on my porch on my swing. And so I want you to think about that for yourself. The worst thing that you can have in your life is regret. And I remember speaking to an older woman. She's probably about 20 years my senior. And in that conversation, she cried and she talked to me about a lot of the things in the life that she had that she regretted. Times when she worked herself and people would say, hey, go on vacation. And she didn't go on that vacation. She didn't do that cruise or that bus trip because she was so in the moment of work. And then now looking back, feeling like she's not as young as she used to be. Her body's not as sprightful as it used to be. Those opportunities where she could have just taken a few dollars or a few days just to do something that felt good, to really do something that she could say, I could see where I found joy from the money in my life. That kind of regret is not a kind of regret that you want in your life. Every day that you wake up is an opportunity for you to do something for yourself, however small, that makes you feel good. And I can see those days in my life where I said, you know what, I'm going to do this to make myself feel good. And one of those days was when I got the swing on the porch. Another day was when, with the support of my hubby and just the things that we've been able to do as a family, I was able to pay off for my car and have the car. I know I no longer have a car note. I have my title and I'm good. And it was the kind of money at that point when I could have taken that money and gone on a cruise or done something elaborate or lavish. But I knew that I wanted to do that because then looking back, I can say my car is paid off and I don't have a car note and I'm not worried about that bill. And I can say that brings me joy knowing that it's one less thing that I have to worry about. Right? Then don't get me wrong. I'm also the kind of person who I like to go on trips to every year, especially during the August time, just after the summer and just before school starts. I take a trip to Florida with my son and my hubby so that we can go to Orlando. We can do the Disney thing. And then we go from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale and Fort Lauderdale to Miami. I've got family down there. And that's something that we do. These are things that I enjoy. Right? I also make it a point to at least get one thing a year that I say, I really, really want this and or need this. And it's important to me. And it's a big ticket item, but I do it because it's important to me. So whether it's me saying I need this piece of equipment, I bought a really expensive piece of health equipment and it was pricey. And a part of me was like, I could put this toward, my kid or the house or whatever, but I needed it. And man, when I needed it, it came in handy. So I got it. Or me investing a lot of money into, a new camera or a new computer. You need to be able to see where you put your money and you need to be able to figure out for yourself what's going to bring you in joy. Whether it's things that you do for yourself or things that you do for other people, right? So having these experiences, these vacations, this fun time with my family or alone, I love that. Being able to give to people in need, I love that. There was an opportunity for me that really, I don't think it was an opportunity. It just it happened. I was working with someone and in that space, she just said to me, things are slow right now. And, I was lapsed in my website and it got suspended. So it's down and we've worked together and she's one of my close clients. And I said to her, you know what? I got you. I reactivated, I paid for her hosting for the year. And she was like, what? And I mean, being in a position to do that for a client, that was huge for me. She was like, LaShanda, because you did that, actually, I'm working with somebody and because of you, my site was online and I could show her the site and she could go there. And it, had you not done that for me, my site would be down and it would be one more thing that I would have to worry about. So being in a space of joy where I can help other people, whether it be a client or even a family member, sometimes family members may call me and say, LaShanda, can you help me with a couple of $100 here or there? My hubby's sister, her computer broke, and of course, every student needs a computer, especially in these days. So I was like, all right, come on, let's go to the store, and I got her a new computer. These things bring me joy. So you want to be in a space where you really dig in and dig deep. Where are you finding joy in the money? Because if you only find yourself in a place of lack, a place of survival, a place of frustration, or every time it comes in, it comes out, that's not going to create your abundance. A part of the abundance that you want is you finding and being grateful for the money you have, you getting joy from that so you can bring in even more joy, and you can change the conversations that you have around money. So it's not a conversation of frustration, but a conversation of abundance. Right? So you're never without money. You're never, oh God, I don't have any money right now. I'm broke. The little money I have is already spent. Change the conversations you have around money. Not only will you change your mindset, but you will shift the kind of money that comes into you. I don't complain about being broke. I'm like, no, I'm not claiming that. Don't claim it. You complain about being broke, you will always be broke. You complain about not having money, you will never have money or be in a space where you can find the money to do the things that you need to do. I always am happy for what I have, and in that happiness, the overflow comes in. Kind of like having this conversation with you today and then being filled with this space of, oh my goodness, I'm talking to you about your money mindset, and I'm seeing money pings come in, and this person bought this and this person bought that. And I'm like, wow, this is just my life. This is the reality of being happy with, even if whether it's $2, $200 or $2,000, whatever comes in today, I'm happy. Because listen, it's $2, $200 or $2,000 more than I had before. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to be grateful for it. I'm going to pray over it. And in doing so, that's going to help me to consistently bring in even more, claim it, and bring in that abundance. So don't feed into the negativity. Don't feed into the frustration. Don't feed into the space of you feeling like you broke and you claiming it and you wanted to talk to everybody about, girl, times is hard and I don't got a lot. I don't have those conversations at all. Keep the vibration high by keeping the joy and the positivity and the love and the gratefulness to your conversation. I cannot express that enough, because the joy, the positivity, and the gratefulness will help your money grow. It will help your money grow in more ways than I could possibly even share with you today. The last thing that I'm going to talk about as far as your money mindset is concerned, I think it's a great space for us to end on, and it is the word space itself. You want to be in a space where you want abundance in your life. You have to create a space for abundance in your life. A lot of people, when it comes to money, they find themselves in a wish-wait situation. They're wishing for things to work out. They're waiting for things to work out. They're praying for things to work out without actually doing the work. One of my favorite quotes is from Maya Angelou, and she said, "Things won't work unless you do." And one of my other favorite quotes is, "Faith without works is dead." So you can't just pray on it and wish and wait for it. You got to work towards it. And the process for me of working towards bringing an abundance into your life is by creating a space for that kind of abundance to come into your life. So let's talk about that, what it looks like to create a space for money and abundance. Now, the first thing that I'm going to share with you is one of my favorite anecdotes, and it's a Steve Harvey story. You've probably heard me talk about it before. And I talk about it, and I love it, and you can even YouTube it. I don't know if you're going to find it, because I think the video is kind of hard to find. But Steve Harvey, he's talking about his book, and he's talking about when he was younger, he would be excited about getting his new car. And at the time, he would just, every time he talked about it with his mom, he's like, "I'm going to get my new car, Mom." He's like, "But your old car's sitting in the driveway, baby." And, every time he'd be like, "My mom, I'm going to get my new car." Because, when you're adamant about something, you keep trying to tell your people about it, because you keep telling them that that's you kind of confirming for yourself you're going to make it happen. And she kept saying, "But your old car's sitting in the driveway." And it kind of irked him. I think because as a young person, he was probably thinking, she don't believe I'm going to get my new car. That's why I got to keep reminding her. But that wasn't the point. Because he was like, "Mama, why you keep saying that?" And she said, "The point of me telling you this is how you going to get a new car? Where you going to put it when your old car's sitting in the driveway?" So he decided that, you know what, he was going to move the old car. He took it off the cinder blocks. He cleaned up the oil stain that was on the concrete. And within a few weeks, he had a new car right in that spot. If you want something new, you've got to get rid of the old. You've got to create a space for the kind of money that you want. And getting rid of the old and creating a space for the new, it's a lot of different things. Some of that is in mindset. Right? So today in our conversation, maybe you've been able to identify some feelings, some triggers, some thoughts, some ideas, some subconscious or actual things that you do to block your money that you need to work on. Right? Things that you need to do with respect to your money mindset. These are powerful things that need to be removed because sometimes they don't serve you anymore. So when I was in survival mode, it served me to work the hell out of myself to get $100 to build a website. When I realized that I could thrive and not just survive, it served me to remove and release that mindset and to say, you know what, I'm going to stop charging $100 for this. I'm going to charge $500. I'm going to charge $1,000. I used to do my mastermind for $7. Now my mastermind starts at $47, right? Sometimes you have to release old mindsets if you want to move forward. You can't just jump into creating new money for yourself without you creating a space for that to come in, right? Creating a space for that abundance. One of the things that I talk about when it comes to creating that space is ABG versus ABC. ABC is a marketing adage and it means always be closing. I came up with ABG to kind of real talk, put my ladies on the spot. And ABG is always be given. And when you are in a space where you want to create money for yourself, sometimes you will contradict yourself when you're just like, they're not going to pay for it. I might as well just give it away for free. Or when somebody says, what you got? And you get discouraged. You're like, they're not going to pay for it. And you just throw the freebies at them. Always be given versus always be closing. Sometimes we do that again because, as I alluded to, you are afraid of them rejecting you or not buying, so you give it away. And sometimes we give it away because we want them to say, oh, you're so great. Thank you so much. This is so great. We're looking for confirmation, affirmation, positive response and feedback. We're not getting that because they're not buying. So give it in a way is going to give you a happy hit. It's going to give you something to make you feel good, when the real good is not just simply giving it away, but closing and generating sales. So if you find yourself in a space where you're always giving it away, can you take this opportunity to really sit with yourself and talk to yourself about why you do that? I used to work with a client who, even though she was trying to make money as an entrepreneur, she really wasn't because, her hubby was the primary caregiver. So he was taking care of the main funds, and the stuff that she created, like her books and things, she would just literally be like, oh my God, hey, I did a book. And people would go, oh, that's so cool. Oh yeah, really? Here's the book. And I'm like, you got to stop giving your book away for free to everybody you see just because they said it sounds cool. Some of them might not even read it. Give your stuff away for free, but do it with strategy and intention. Do it in a way that's going to help you generate revenue. Just don't give it away because either you're just excited or you're looking for a happy hit, or you fundamentally are afraid to say this is how much it costs because you don't want to hear them say they don't want it, or you don't want to hear them say no or not right now. You don't want to go through having to go through 100 people tell you no before you get one person to actually buy. I get it. But at the end of the day, you've got to fight those fears so that you can rise. You got to get those no's so you can get those yeses. You've got to be in a space where you stop the ABG so you can work towards the ABC. What are you doing to create a space for your abundance? Right? Not just, of course, very important, removing any mindset that doesn't serve you, removing any negative thoughts or processes that don't serve you, but also creating the space for the opportunities that you want. One of my favorite quotes is about preparation, and it is as follows. It is as follows. It's better to have no opportunities and be prepared than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So let me give you an example of that. If I said to you right now, listen, I've got $10,000 for you. I want you to do some work for me for $10,000. What can you do? Would you be ready for me? What would you have to give me for $10,000? And if that, just the thought of me saying I'm going to give you $10,000 right now scares the hell out of you and you don't know what you would be able to deliver, you have not created a space for your abundance. I had to learn that. I had to learn that in order for me to generate $5,000 or $3,000 or $10,000 just from one sale, I had to create the space for it. So yeah, I have a $5,000 offer. I have a $100 offer. I have a $10 offer. I have a $500 offer. I've got a $3,000. I've got offers at various price points because I've created the opportunities. So just to my surprise and me talking to you about money mindset and seeing people purchase things from me, it's not really a surprise because I created a space where whether I'm talking to you or I'm taking a nap or running errands, whatever I'm doing, somebody out there is listening to me talk, listening to me teach something, going to my website and buying something so that I'm creating a space to bring in money into my business. Now, when I say that, I say this. It has nothing to do for me with luck. And I love Oprah's quote when she talks about, her life has nothing to do with luck and everything about preparation, and preparation meeting that right space of opportunity. When you intentionally prepare for those opportunities in divine right timing, when they come to you, you'll be ready for them. And here's the deal. When I put out, let's say, for example, I say today, I'm going to put out an offer and it's $1,000. Sometimes I'll put out $1,000 offer and nobody buys. And I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I just told the universe, here's a new Sister Sense offer. It's $1,000. When somebody is ready for it in divine right timing, they will come. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. So when people are ready, they will come. One of the things I talked about at the beginning of this year in particular was this phenomenon that I call the 995 effect. And I said, you know what? I had about 4 or 5 people pay me $1,000 at the beginning of this year. And I was in a space where I was sick. I was not doing a lot of work. I wasn't marketing a lot because my neck was killing me. My arm was killing me. My back was killing me. And I'm bringing in $1,000 left and right. I'm like, what is going on? That for me is setting myself up for success. And I don't know if you have my success kit, but I talk about in that kit in a 3-part audio, the different things that I do to set myself up for success. Me creating a space where I had offers that cost $995. The Lord knows when I was tired and couldn't get out of my bed or off of my couch because I already had those offers ready. Do you know what was happening? People were coming to me and they were saying, LaShanda, I'm ready to work with you. Here's $1,000 for this. Here's $1,000 for that. And I could work with them. I mean, I wasn't in a wheelchair. I could do the work. I just didn't have all the energy that I would normally have to do live streams and videos and blog posts and, live events. And, I didn't have that kind of energy. I had just enough energy for the person who said, LaShanda, here's the money, do the work, for me to do the work for them. And that is for me creating a space for success. Have you created a space where you've put that stuff out there? And guess what? Like I said to you before, it doesn't mean that when you put it out there, people are going to jump on it in that moment, immediately. Don't get discouraged if they don't. Be committed to the process, not just the result. I don't feel bad if I put something out there and nobody buys, because you know what? I put it out there. And in me putting it out there, I'm furthering this idea that I'm creating a space. So in divine right timing, when people are ready and they want the opportunity, the offers are there. Which is how I create a space where I call it the money magnet experience, where I am just as a magnet attracting money and attracting revenue, because these are some of the things that I do to set myself up for success. So think about that. How can you start the process of creating a space for yourself where you remove those mindsets and thought processes that don't service you anymore, where you stop yourself from being in a space where you always just kind of haphazardly give everything away for free because you've got fears around what it would look like or feel like if people reject you or say no or what have you, ABG versus ABC, and create a space where you have these different price points and different packages and offers that even if people haven't gotten it yet, you put it up there and out there. And eventually somebody or several bodies, when they're ready, you'll have done the work, and that work will translate into revenue for you. So today's conversation about money mindset really was an opportunity for us to dive into, as I mentioned to you at the very beginning, 7 areas in which you really need to get clear with yourself around your money mindset and where you need to reset your mindset so you can manifest more money. Those 7 areas, just to quickly recap: number 1, desire; number 2, value; number 3, survival mode; number 4, your work ethic; number 5, your fears; number 6, your joy; and number 7, your space. Hopefully you find today's session to be helpful for you. As far as your journey is concerned, I want to continue to share as much as I can with you. So number 1, make sure that you have the success kit. The success kit includes, for me, some of the essential things that you need to do to get started to set yourself up for success, especially for those of you out there who are online entrepreneurs like myself. If you go to sistersense.com/BSN, so sistersense.com/BSN. BSN stands for Be Successful Now. You'll find the success kit there if you don't already have it. That's certainly a great place to start. And of course, if today has kind of healed you in some way or touched you in some way, resonated with you, especially if you're a heart-based entrepreneur like myself, feel free to email sistersense@gmail.com to let me know if you've learned anything or gotten anything or leaned in and gotten some affirmations and confirmations from some of the things that we talked about as part of the money mindset conversation. My email is sistersense@gmail.com. You can also click the gray tab on the right side of my website, sistersense.com, to send me a voice message. And of course, last but not least, if you would like to have a personal one-on-one where not only are you listening to me virtually, but we can get on the phone and talk to each other, you can go to callme.sistersense.com to book a clarity session with me. Of all the different things that I can do, for me, one of the most powerful things is helping you get clear about your next best step. At the end of the day, for me, clarity is key. So hopefully this session for today, the Money Mindset Experience, has helped you get clear about some of the powerful, amazing, practical things that you can do to shift your mindset, to reset your mindset, and hopefully in doing so, manifest more money into your life and in your business. Now, hopefully you have also the Money Mindset workbook that goes along with this audio, so you can print out those pages and walk through some of the questions that I asked you in this experience to kind of help you get clear about some of those hard questions that give you the kind of answers that you need to succeed. But outside of, again, the Money Mindset audio and the workbook, the Success Kit is, to me, one of the best next step audios that I have in this series that would be helpful to you. The Success Kit you can find at sistersense.com/BSN, and then the Money Moves Money Map series, which you can find in my shop.sistersense.com, where I talk about the different types of money moves that I make and how you can be more strategic and intentional with respect to the money moves that you make, right? So the Success Kit series, the Money Move series, and also my Cash Flow Kit series are 3 other relevant and related series to this one that might be of interest to you if you're interested in continuing the conversation about your money and your mindset. Well, alrighty, go forth, create amazing, and hopefully I'll see you right back here once again, either in one of these audio series or one-on-one talking privately together. Okay, take care. Till next time.